Do you ever find yourself standing in front of an ice cream parlor, unable to make a choice because of the overwhelming number of flavors available to you? Have you ever pondered the reason behind this phenomenon? Another reason could be that you spend a considerable amount of time pondering over which movie to watch on Netflix, only to find yourself scrolling endlessly without making a decision. Why do we sometimes have such a profound struggle with our decisions? And what factors influence our decision-making? Before we dive deep into this intriguing topic, be sure to show your support by liking this video and hitting the subscribe button to join the IQPSY community. In the field of decision-making psychology, these puzzling concerns are investigated in depth with the goal of elucidating the complex mechanisms that regulate how people select from a variety of possibilities, evaluate the prospective outcomes, and ultimately make judgments. It is a domain in which cognitive biases, feelings, and environmental circumstances interact with one another, thereby influencing our decisions in ways that are both subtle and significant. The purpose of this video is to shed light on the underlying mechanisms, key theories, and real-world ramifications of decision-making psychology. We shall go on a journey through the labyrinth of decision-making psychology based on this inquiry. As we delve deeper into the fascinating complexity that govern human decision-making, we will explore everything from the neurology that underpins our choices to the importance of social influence. Comprehending the primary building blocks. An essential component of decision-making psychology is the dynamic relationship that exists between logic and intuition, as well as between reason and emotion. The rational choice theory, which proposes that humans make decisions by assessing the costs and benefits of many possibilities and selecting the one that maximizes their utility, has traditionally been the lens through which decision-making has been regarded. Nevertheless, studies conducted in the field of psychology have shown that the decision-making process of humans is significantly more complex than what this simplified model suggests. Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky are credited with developing the prospect theory, which is considered to be one of the most influential theories in the area. The concept of pure rationality is called into question by this theory, which proposes that people's actions are impacted by psychological factors, such as their aversion to loss and their perception of danger. Individuals have a tendency to place a greater emphasis on the possibility of losses than they do on the possibility of gains that are equivalent to those losses, which can result in risk-averse conduct in certain circumstances and risk-seeking behavior in others. Additionally, feelings play a key part in the decision-making process, frequently acting as potent motivators for the decisions that we make. According to Antonio Damasio's somatic marker hypothesis, physiological sensations and emotional responses play a significant part in directing decision-making by conveying the potential dangers and rewards associated with various options. This idea was proposed by Damasio. Fear, delight, and disgust are examples of emotions that have the potential to exert a significant influence on our judgments, sometimes even taking precedence over rational concerns. Biases in cognitive processes. In addition to being influenced by our feelings, our decision-making processes are also prone to a variety of cognitive biases and heuristics, which can result in errors in judgment that are systematic in nature. These biases, which are frequently unconscious, have the potential to profoundly affect our perceptions and choices, so causing us to make decisions that are not in our best interests. As an illustration, take into consideration the anchoring bias, which occurs when people place an excessive amount of weight on the initial piece of information they come across when making judgments. due to the fact that people tend to base their decisions on reference points that are either irrelevant or arbitrary. These biases, which are frequently unconscious, have the potential to profoundly affect our perceptions and choices, so causing us to make decisions that are not in our best interests. As an illustration, take into consideration the anchoring bias, which occurs when people place an excessive amount of weight on the initial piece of information they come across when making judgments. Due to the fact that people tend to base their decisions on reference points that are either irrelevant or arbitrary, this bias might result in choices that are less than optimum. Individuals tend to seek out information that supports their pre-existing views or hypotheses, while rejecting evidence that contradicts those beliefs or hypotheses. This is an example of the confirmation bias, which is another widespread form of bias. Existing prejudices might be strengthened by this tendency, which also prevents individuals from objectively evaluating the options available to them. In addition, heuristics, also known as mental shortcuts, play a significant part in the decision-making process since they enable us to make snap judgments and choices with as little information as possible. It is possible for heuristics to be effective. Nevertheless, they also have the potential to result in errors in judgment, particularly in circumstances that are ambiguous or complex. As an illustration, the availability heuristic causes individuals to evaluate the chance of an event based on how quickly they can recall instances that are comparable to the one in question from their memories, rather than taking into consideration the objective probabilities. Overview of decision-making neuroscience. Recent advancements in neuroscience have shed light on the neurological mechanisms that underlie decision-making, illuminating the complex interaction that exists between various regions of the brain and the neurotransmitter systems. One of the most important regions of the brain that is engaged in decision-making is the prefrontal cortex. This region is also involved in executive processes such as planning, thinking, and impulse control, respectively. Damage to the prefrontal cortex can affect one's ability to make decisions, which can result in impulsive conduct and poor judgment. Additionally, brain correlates of decision-making processes have been uncovered through research that makes use of neuroimaging techniques, such as functional magnetic resonance imaging. For instance, studies have demonstrated that the ventromedial prefrontal cortex is engaged in the appraisal of rewards and punishments, whereas the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex is involved in cognitive control and self-regulation. Both of these regions of the brain are responsible for regulating and controlling behavior. In addition, neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine have been shown to have a role in the modulation of decision-making processes. The neurotransmitter dopamine, which is frequently referred to as the reward neurotransmitter, plays a pivotal part in the process of reinforcement learning and motivation. It has the ability to influence how alternative options are considered to be valuable. Separately, serotonin has been associated with the control of mood as well as social conduct, which in turn influences the manner in which individuals evaluate potential risks and rewards in the context of social decision-making. Influence from society. In addition to being influenced by internal variables like intellect and emotion, human decision-making is also influenced by external factors like social influence and the dynamics of groups like families and communities. Social variables can exert a tremendous influence on our decisions, often driving us to align our conduct with the norms and expectations of the groups to which we belong. Peer pressure and conformity are two examples of social factors that can contribute to this alignment. Solomon Asch's conformity studies are considered to be one of the most compelling examples of social influence. In these tests, participants were asked to evaluate the length of lines while they were in the company of Confederates who supplied wrong replies. In spite of the fact that they were aware of the correct response, a significant number of participants adopted the wrong judgments of the group. This exemplifies the significant impact that social pressure has on the decision-making process of individuals. Furthermore, societal conventions and cultural values have a subtle influence on our decisions, affecting everything from the clothes we wear to the way we vote. The social identity hypothesis that was suggested by Henri Tajfel claims that people's self-concept is generated from their membership in social groups, which in turn leads them to adopt the attitudes and actions that are associated with those groups. Applications and implications in the real world. Gaining an understanding of the psychological processes involved in decision-making has several applications in a variety of fields, including but not limited to marketing and advertising, public policy, and healthcare. When marketers make use of the insights that decision-making psychology provides, they are able to build advertising campaigns that are more effective because they appeal to the emotions and cognitive biases of customers. For instance, framing effects, which are a term that describes the manner in which information is presented, have the ability to affect consumer choices by drawing attention to particular characteristics of a product or service. The field of behavioral economics has become increasingly prominent in the arena of public policy, as policymakers strive to develop interventions that encourage individuals to make better choices. As an illustration, by utilizing the concepts of behavioral psychology, efforts such as default options and choice architecture can motivate individuals to increase the amount of money they save for retirement, to make decisions that lead to a better lifestyle. Furthermore, having a grasp of the psychological mechanisms that underlie decision-making can provide insight into decision-making methods that can be used to improve decision-making abilities and reduce biases. Individuals can build greater self-awareness and emotional control with the assistance of techniques such as mindfulness meditation and cognitive behavioral therapy, which enables them to make decisions that are more informed and adaptive. If you found this video valuable, we invite you to like, subscribe, and activate the notification bell to stay updated on future content from IQPSY.